I'm Allison Kwolek. I'm the head coach here.
So joining the ACC, what does that mean to you?
It's exciting. I mean, obviously the ACC is the best conference in the country, and I think to be able to play such great teams, teams that have been established for so long, and just to have that competition every year is really exciting, and it's an awesome opportunity.
I see the players have kind of thought the same sort of.
Yeah,
Is it easy to recruit a player like that?
Yes, I mean, I think especially this past season of recruiting and going forward, pulling in transfers that want to play in the best conference, play at a school at Clemson. They were really drawn to that. They wanted that competition, and they wanted to be at that level. So yeah, I mean, it's been just great bringing them here, to be in this environment.
And when you think about kind of like the standard that a lot of Clemson athletics are held to, considering, I mean, you talk about football, you talk about just some of the other programs here, how do you kind of handle that pressure headed into just your first year when the standards are high?
Yes, I mean, the standards are definitely high, and I think that's why I wanted to come here, right? To be in an environment where the support and resources were already in place, to be able to recruit student athletes that knew that they would have everything around them to be successful. But we've joked about it, I think, with Graham and everybody about softball, but it's the environment that I wanted to be in. It was the next step for me, to be around these teams that are playing at the highest level, to be around student athletes that are competing at the highest level, that want to be the best. And again, I think for me to bring in the top student athletes in the country to come here, it's only been really positive and great things ahead.
And what do you think some things about this team will surprise people headed into conference play?
I think for us, wanting to be competitive right away, I think, a lot of people, when they think new programs, it's going to take them years, to be at a high level. And I think for us, and it's what I said to all of them when I was recruiting them, that we want to be competitive right away. When we step onto the field, we don't want it to look like a team that's in year one. And I think through our practices and through our growth that you can see that. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's the expectation for us, is to be competitive.
You have several athletes that came here and they'll only play 1 year here. They won't even get that new feel. They'll play here. But I guess, what does it mean to you to see how you have some of these athletes that have come here to be able to start something?
I think for them, to have 1 year, they had other options. They could have gone to other schools. And I think a lot of them would never have imagined that they could come to Clemson and start a program, in the ACC. And I think they're finding a lot of, joy through that, in terms of, being that foundation, being, somebody that's setting that culture right away. And I told them too, my hope for them is in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years, they look back on this program and they're like, wow, I started that, and feeling really proud of that.
Other coaches on campus, who have you kind of tapped for input or advice, and how's it been kind of being a part of that community?
It's been great. I think the other coaches have been really, really supportive, more so than I thought, right? But they are available. I met with John right away, obviously talking to him about what it was like for him to start the program, how he utilized transfers, when the transfer portal opened, how that changed things for him, and sat down in his office to go over it, because obviously, one of the first things I looked at when I heard this job was opening was how the teams are doing, and I saw softball, obviously winning ACCs that first year. I knew I wanted to just touch base with him and get his thoughts, things that worked well, things that he might have done differently, and gained a lot of insight from that, and definitely leaned on that as I was looking to bring in these transfers. And all of them have been available. Even Dabo, Dabo is somebody that I've only seen on TV until I got here, and the fact that he's just been somebody that's been just really supportive and available. It's been wonderful.
You take this job, just take me through, how do you even start to assemble a roster? What does the very beginning of that process look like?
Yeah, it was definitely really busy. When I got the job in August, I knew that we had the transfer portal. I knew that there would be people that would be going in that would utilize that extra fifth year that they had. But also at the same time that I'm looking at transfers the whole year, I need to bring in freshmen right away that would start that following year. So I'm recruiting freshmen, and also starting to have to recruit the following classes. So it was, thankfully I did have that year off where I could just recruit, and that's what we did. We basically, recruited all year to really bring the roster together. And it wasn't until the summer, coming into this past summer, where that last bunch of transfers went into portal, and we could finish out the roster that way. So really it was up until late July, that we kind of finalized that roster. Yeah.
the new facility, breaking ground on that, what was that like, and what excites you about having that place to call your home officially next year?
I pinched myself. I mean, I think to have this multi-million-dollar facility that's just for women's lacrosse up at the lake, and again, I think, as we're recruiting student athletes, for them to see that investment and the investment in the female student athletes here has been tremendous. And again, what I want so much for all the players that I bring here is that they have that understanding of everybody's going to be invested in you. You're going to have all of these support and resources in place to really be the best that you can be in all areas. And I think, Clemson doesn't just say that, you can see that in what they're doing, and it's just really great to bring people here in that environment.
As far as skill set, what do you really like about this team so far? What are they doing well? What do you hope to work on as you guys head into some tough conference play later?
Yeah, I think what I've really enjoyed seeing the team do, I think a lot of it is everything that's happening off the field, right? Getting to know each other. If you had seen our first practice, right, where, it's, 27 people, 28 people that are coming together, trying to play together, it was not pretty, right? Because they don't know each other, they don't know each other's styles, what they do on the field. And all of that takes place off the field too, is building those bonds, building those relationships, and growing. And then from where we were at the end of the fall and how much growth we had to where we are in the spring and starting with preseason, now they're in flow with each other, and you can tell they've just put in that time to get to know each other, and again, on the field, off the field, to be able to just play that much better together, when they step onto the field.
Who are some women that are going to be making a difference right away?
Yeah, I mean, I think Hannah is somebody that is, an attacker that came from Oregon, that proven at Oregon, has only gotten better since she's been here. She's has an incredibly hard shot, and we always joke about it in practice how hard she can shoot, but just a really fun player to watch, great dodger for us. Chloe, coming from Colorado, has only gotten better. She's an attacker, really savvy around the crease. I think when you look at our draw and how we gain possession off of after goals and how we start the game, Ella is somebody coming from UNC that was, had worked really hard on the draw at UNC, that's only gotten better here, and I see us, being really strong on the draw. And then defensively, we've got Mallory, who is such a leader, a great vocal presence for us on defense. I think other, goalies, we're going to be really solid in the cage with Emily Lamparter and Chrissy really competing for time, in the cage. But I think, all up and down the field, we have just really strong and I think really experienced players that again will, get us to that being competitive right away.
Do you have any pregame routines? I guess what Saturday is going to be like for you? It's the first time you've coached a game formally in a while.
Yeah, we've been talking about that. I think being at Clemson this week has already been just really different for us with media and radio show and things like that. That it's been really exciting, and I think as we get into Saturday. And all the excitement that's going to come with Saturday being the first game, it's trying to settle them into, what they need to do once they step out onto the field. So all of it's going to be routine based, and again, just those reminders of, the goals for the day and what we're trying to do to really hopefully, get them settled in again once they step out onto the field.
For you, is there anything that's going to go into that to kind of ground yourself? Do you think you'll be okay?
I think I'm going to be okay. I think it's I'm so excited to be in this environment. When we talk about people emailing about how to get tickets and just feeling from to all the coaches and friends here and fans in the community, it's just been really wonderful to see the excitement of coming to lacrosse and experience what lacrosse is going to look like at Clemson. I think also, because it's going to be, on the ACC network, really broadcasting the game to the lacrosse community so that they can see what Clemson is all about. But yeah, I'm excited, and I know that I'll settle down, but it's going to be obviously a whirlwind, just also my first game at Clemson, but all positives and all really exciting.
Never had a national TV game at Richmond, I guess, that you can remember.
I think, being at Clemson, it's just a whole nother level. And I, just talking to our players that have all of them coming from different schools, all of their friends at those schools are having watch parties, and just excited to see, what they look like and all that work they've put in and what it's going to look like, at Clemson to play on the team here. So I think they just have a really strong fan base that's all going to be eager to watch them play.
I was kind of looking back, you started a team from scratch, and now it's here and about to play. What's something kind of you wish you knew getting into this, or that could have made it easier, or what was maybe a challenge in kind of putting all this together?
Yeah, I think naturally, when I when I came on board, when I got here, I think, and I know I'm somebody that's like this, it's hard not to look at the big picture and be overwhelmed by the big picture of having a year to turn around and get a team on the field. I think I settled in terms of taking it day by day, but it was, when you thought about that big picture, that was a lot. And I think just settling into that day by day, which I got there. But I think that was like the one thing that I was just a little overwhelming initially.
And coming to Clemson, where there's really not, or there hasn't been an audience because there hasn't been a program for women's lacrosse, I guess, what's your pitch to the non-lacrosse viewers about kind of how you would encourage them to come out and watch?
Yeah, I think the big thing is, it's a fun game. It's a fun sport. Yes, there are going to be rules or things that happen on the field that you won't understand. But I think because it's such a high scoring game, there's so many goals. I think it's also a sport that even if a team gets up by 5, the other team can still win because you can score so many goals so quickly. And I think, for our players, a lot of energy on the field, a lot of fun to watch, those goals that are happening on one end, but also some strong defensive stops. And again, it's so, it's a different sport in some ways, but also really similar to basketball and soccer and ice hockey. And it's just like a nice combination of all of that. But again, I think it's a fast sport. I think it's the fastest growing sport in the country, right? And for people to come and just start to watch and learn our players and get to know them, it's only going to help them get into the game that much more each time they come out.
Had you been to South Carolina before, taking this job or visited?
I had not. No.
What's your take on living here?
Yeah,
so
I love it. Yeah, no, I love it. I think for us, and my family, we love living here. I think I haven't been in a place that has such a community feel where you can go to the grocery store and run into somebody that or you see, your other, my kids, moms and stuff. Like, we just see each other a lot, and I think that community aspect has been so important in our lives and something that I've really valued just being here. Obviously, the weather is also awesome, and having the lake here is really great too. So I think we're really thankful that we can live in such a great place and be part of such a wonderful community.
Your assistants, just tell us about them and how they've helped you.
Yeah. So I'm really thankful for my staff. I love my staff, but also really funny. Madison was somebody that I recruited in high school. So I knew Madison when she was 14. I was trying to recruit her to Richmond. I knew big time player. And I was like, I think we can get her. She was looking at us, she was looking at Penn State, and she was looking at Duke. Ended up going to Penn State, broke my heart. So I watched her on national TV take Penn State to 2 Final Fours. I mean, she was, one of the best players in the country. And I always thought, oh, like, what if she had come to Richmond? But had just stayed connected with her. Her best friend ended up playing for me at Richmond, and then knew she wanted to get into coaching. Didn't have an opportunity when she graduated to bring her on staff at Richmond, but I knew the second that I did, I wanted to bring her on staff because great mind. Mom was a coach, right? Or mom is a coach, so she has the right mindset to transition into being a coach. So I brought her here right away, and then Bill was somebody that I got connected to from Kim at Davidson, the Davidson head coach. And I knew of Bill that he was a tremendous recruiter, that he's out everywhere to try and see as many kids as he can. Only heard positive things about him from his coaching style and how he interacts with his players. So he was somebody that I definitely, pursued pretty heavily to come here, and has just been a wonderful addition to the staff. And then Sam Sorrell, director of ops, went to Clemson, and I wanted to have that connection to Clemson on our staff, and worked in football for 2 years while he was an undergrad. So experienced just with football, what they were doing there, and then also, being a student at Clemson, really helping bridge gaps for us and make connections for us. And he's been just tremendous, just helping us on staff with everything.
And last night, just scholarship-wise, what are you at right now? How many are you at capacity? And I guess how did that compare to your last job?
Yeah.
Same at both or more here?
No, so we're fully funded here. So fully funded for women's lacrosse is 12 full scholarships. That's not, I wouldn't say that's commonplace everywhere, right? I think a lot of schools you're working with partial scholarships. So obviously that just helps us as we just continue to bring in top level recruits here and everything.
Any other questions? All right, thank you guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.